Sweet. Okay. So yeah, thank you guys for all being here, and thank you, Jess, for asking me. Um Tell you what, it was a long road, a really long road before I found sobriety. Um I could remember all the way back from when I was little, just being a scared little boy. I remember we had moved. Uh I was in first grade and we moved into a new school and I was just scared. And I wanted nothing more than to just fit in with everybody else. And I couldn't. Um, I went moved to a little school, and it was like I guess the rich kids were their own little crew, and then everybody else was their own little crew, and I just wanted to fit in with everybody. Um, as I got a little older, started playing sports. My I was about 15 years old, and my dad, he had moved to Arizona for a little while to go to school, and um it was just me, my mom, and my sister. And I seen that time as like a free for all time. I wanted my dad there to be there with me in sports, and I held a resentment for that for a long time. Him not being there when I thought that he should have been. It was a big part of my growing up. But instead, uh my mom, she was real easy to work over, and I could pretty much do whatever I wanted, having parties at the house. And she had that mentality of if he's gonna party, I want him to do it here. And and that's what I did. Was smoking weed, having people over, we're drinking. um it got real bad. So my dad was in school. I think he was in Arizona for like 2 years, and the one summer my mom just had enough. And she sent me down there to live with him and my uncle while he was in school. And I tell you what, it didn't help me any better. uh Ran into a bunch of my dad's friends. I was 15, 16 years old, and they're all smoking weed and uh doing pills and stuff. And I had an older cousin that I really looked up to, and he loved to party. He loved to get high, and I kind of followed in his footsteps. I knew he knew what was good, and he would tell me what would get me high, and that's really all I cared about, was just getting high. So I would raid my uncle's medicine cabinets. He had a bunch of perks and Vicodin and everything. So I raided that. Uh, the summer was over. Oh yeah, there was Duster involved too. That was something down there. I had there was some kids outside. I would skateboard outside, and these other kids kind of were hanging out, and I was showing kids how to do Duster or whatever. Or they seen me doing it. I don't know. The next day, the kids' parents come over and told me to never talk to their kids again. So that was pretty cool. Um, and then I had all these pills that I had stole while I was down there, and I had about an ounce of weed, and I was bringing the airplane back from Arizona to Ohio, and I was trying to think of a way I could get away with it. So I bought this model car. I bought this model car and started to build it, and I wrapped up these pills in a bag and everything, and taped it all up with duct tape. And I put it in the model car and built around the model car, put it back in the box, put it in my luggage, and I hop on the plane. I'm thinking everything's going fine. I get off the plane, I go to collect my luggage, and there's like three cops walking around the luggage thing. And my heart just dropped. And um, I don't know, they weren't there for me. So I grabbed my stuff and we took off. Uh, that's where, like, I guess the rush of everything, um, feeling feeling that rush, that anxiety really, really set me off. Um, so, I'm back home and still doing the same stuff. I um I was in wrestling my whole life, and that next year in wrestling, I dislocated my hip in district finals, and it was real nasty. You know, my whole body just went sideways on top of my leg, and I went to the hospital, and they gave me a shot of Dilaudid and Valium in my IV, and when I felt that, I fell in love. I absolutely fell in love. Um, got put on prescriptions. I was on prescription pills the rest of my high school year. Um, and that's how it was. I didn't really worry about my grades in school. I didn't do much work, but I had this entitlement because anytime that I would be slacking in school, my coaches would go to my teachers and ask them what work I could do to get my grades up to be eligible. And that's what I went on. Um, so I barely graduate school. Um, start working in a factory, and I got introduced to stronger stuff, man. The Oxy 80s, the Opanas, and that's what I love to do. That's what I love to do. Um, the consequences never really were that bad until I got a little bit older. But I had gotten a receiving stolen property charge, and got put on probation. I had to go to uh, like a IOP or whatever, and I was playing the game. I had to see my probation officer once a month, and I would start it out timing it up. Like, okay, I got to see her next week. I'm gonna stop, and I was able to do that for a little while, and then it just got to the point where I just stopped calling her, stopped going to see her because I couldn't stop. Um, Getting high was more important than having to go to jail again, and I didn't care. Um, let's see, little bit after that, um, couple more IOPs, couple more stops in jail, and it didn't really bother me. The first time I ever went to jail, I was scared. I was scared. I told myself this wasn't for me, and that's not what I wanted for my life. But I love to get high. I just absolutely love to get high, and so that's what I did. You know, um, I had this thing where you know weed was weed, opiates were opiates, alcohol was alcohol. They were all their own little separate thing. I never thought that alcohol was a problem for me. I was never a big drinker, but looking back on it now, like alcohol played a role in everything. Um, I always had this, I was always a bar setter. I was just doing pills, or I was just smoking weed at first, and then the pills come in. I was just doing pills, at least I'm not doing heroin, at least I'm not smoking crack, at least I'm not on a needle. And even when I would come to I was court ordered to go to meetings. I'd go in there, get the paper signed, and I would hear people tell their story, and I would hear how much worse off that they were than I was at that time, and I would compare myself right out of there. That wasn't for me. You people needed it, not me. And later to find out, a couple years down the road, I turned right into the exact thing that I would compare myself to. Um, let's see. I had I had gotten I'd gotten clean for a little while, and by clean I mean just not doing opiates. I was still drinking, um, still smoke a little weed here and there. I thought my problem was the pills. So anyway, I got clean for a little bit and started this new job, met this girl, and 2 weeks later, she's pregnant. And um, I was okay with it. I was okay with it. For the longest time, I didn't think that I could have kids. Uh, Girlfriends before that, it just never happened. And then I met this girl, and boom, 2 weeks later, it happened. So she was on subs, and she was on them for a long time. And so I started to take her subs. We would take them together, and I tell you what, that was a whole addiction in itself. I mean, yeah, I was working, but I mean, I'm spending $300-400 a week going out and buying Suboxone. And so my daughter was born. She was born in 2013, and that's all I was doing. I was on subs. I had a job. Uh, wasn't working no program, but I thought the kid was gonna save me. The kid was gonna set me straight, and I was actually enjoying it. I was in love with the little family that I had. Uh, we were together for about 4 years, and we went through a bad breakup, real bad breakup. And the reason I kept myself in that situation for as long as I did is because I didn't want to lose what I had. I really enjoyed having a home, having a girlfriend, having my daughter. I really loved it, and it meant something to me. So, after living like that for a while, it just broke me down. My family knew something was going on. The friends that I had, they knew something was going on, but I would just bottle that stuff up. Like, it's fine, I'm fine, whatever. Um, and then I kicked her out, and when I kicked her out, it was no holds barred, man. Um, I used the needle for the first time shortly before my daughter was born, and when I was doing subs, that's how I was doing them. Um, Pretty much after the first time that I shut up, that's what it was every single time. Anything that would go in that needle, that's how I was getting high. And um, so after I kicked her out, it was free game. It was just me and my daughter there at the house, and I partied hard for about a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then I had to do one of the hardest things that I had to do, but I didn't care at the moment. Gave my daughter to her grandma. Uh, I took her there, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it by myself. Um, it's not that I didn't want to, but I just couldn't. And, you know, for one, she got in the way of what I really wanted to do. And two, I was just putting her life in danger, taking her to all these places and doing what I was doing. Um, so after her going to her grandma's, um, that job that I had for 4 years was gone within a month. Um, Going out on my 15-minute breaks, taking extended naps out in my car. I'd be out there for 45 minutes and come back into work, until finally they came out and they told me I had to go. And I didn't have a problem with that either. I went and did what I wanted to do. Um, Caught my first felony then after that. Let's see. I had I'm gonna say friends a lot. They weren't really my friends, but um they had gotten arrested and they were in the county jail. And I was bouncing around from place to place doing what I do. and him and another guy escaped from the county jail. And I was always going um, to Toledo and picking up my stuff, and they he wanted to ride with me to Toledo, offered to pay my gas, and that sounded like a good idea. Like, okay, fuck it. So take him up to Toledo. I do my thing. I drop him off. Um, 2 days later, he gets caught, and I'm staying in a hotel. I lost the house, lost the job, and I'm staying in a hotel. And I just get out the shower, and I'm sitting there with my phone. I'm on my phone doing whatever, texting, and I just hear this loud bang at the door. Boom, boom, boom. U.S. Marshals, and they kick the door in, and they got these assault rifles drawn. Whole bunch of them come in, pointing these guns at me, telling me to drop my gun. And I freaked out. It scared the shit out of me. Um, dropped down, dropped my phone. They wheeled me off to jail. Um, my friend, he told him who took him up to Toledo that day, and I ended up getting charged with stuff. So that it was sort of an eye-opening moment a little bit, and it scared me, but I got sentenced to community control, I don't know, CBCF, community based control facility. And I did 4.5 months there, and we did the classes, the IOP and everything. And that was all um serious. Like, it was serious. I took it seriously. I really thought it was going to help, and I was serious about staying sober. And the day come that I was getting out, my family's all proud of me. They're happy to see me with color in my face and life in my eyes again. And I was serious about wanting to stay sober until the day that I got out. And me and another guy went to the bar, and I was off again. um I was just drinking again, just drinking. I still didn't think I had a problem. I thought as long as I stayed away from the hard stuff that I'd be all right. So it carries on. I meet this girl. I know she's in the program. She does her thing. We go out on a date, and I'm drinking, I'm having fun, and we start this relationship. And she's talking to me about AA, wanting me to go to AA, and like, all right, I'll go check it out. Well, she sets it up for me to go meet this guy at his house and ride with him to a meeting and talk to him about being my sponsor, and all this stuff knew nothing about. So I'm just going along with it. Okay, that's fine. So this was January 2019, and I dropped her off at her sponsor's house, and I'm getting ready to drive over and go meet up with this guy, ride with him to a meeting, but I was nervous. And I had that thought in my head, if I go and get a couple packs of dope, I'll be able to do a little bit. I'll be able to be myself. I won't be scared. I won't be nervous. And so that's what I did. And like I told you, it was the needle every time since the first time that I used it, but it wasn't this time. I haven't done that stuff in a while at this time. So I went and bought 2 packs of dope, and I go and pull into the Wendy's parking lot, and I snort a pack, and I take off to head towards his house. And I get about a block away from his house, and that's all I remember. They apparently I OD'd behind the wheel at a four-way stop, and I woke back up in the back of the ambulance. I knew what happened. You know, there was that blackout time from the time at that stop sign to the time I woke up in the ambulance, but I didn't know. You know, I knew what had happened. So I wake up, I got this long rubber tube up my nose, down my throat, and they take me to the hospital. And I was honest with the cop, so he didn't take me to jail. Told him what was going on. Um, Told him that I just relapsed. So he lets me go that day, and my car gets towed and impounded. So I went to go pick it up the next day. I waited for my dad to get off work, and he took me to go get my car out. And this is January in Ohio, so it's cold. My passenger window was busted out because the cops had to bust my window open because the car was still in drive, and I was locked up. My body was locked up behind the wheel, and they put it in park, pulled me out, and that was the first time I was Narcan, and it fucking sucks. It sucks. Anyway, I go to get my car out. They have it covered with a tarp, and they pull the tarp off. I got my keys. I unlock the door, and before I even get in the car, I look down in all the broken glass, and there's that other pack of dope that I had bought, because I had bought two that day before. So without even a thought about what had happened the day before, I picked it up and I did the same thing, man. Picked it up, snorted that pack, start driving to my sister's house, and the exact same thing happens. OD behind the wheel. Thank God that my sister was just pulling up to her house from picking my nieces up from school when that had happened, and she seen me. I was stopped diagonally right in the middle of the road. So she had come running over, and she ran in to get her Narcan. And my dad, he was following me, and he come running over, and he tried getting me out of the car. He said that I was, my skin color was turning purple, my lips were turning purple, and he said he just pulled me out and he started beating the shit out of me, smacking me, freaking out. And my sister Narcans me, and I come back, I wake up before the cops and ambulance get there, and I'm feeling like shit, feeling like crap, and same cop, same ambulance that gets there, and I'm talking to them, and they're trying to tell me, like, what are you going to do? This is 2 days in a row that this had happened, and I'm telling myself that I'm fine. This is just 2 days. This is just 2 days. I just fucked up a little bit, some bad stuff. I'm fine. So my family holds this intervention, and I don't know if any of you guys had a family intervention, but they're not fucking fun at all. I was willing to do whatever I had to do to shut them up and to leave me alone. And that's what I did. I went into a detox, spent 10 days there, got on Vivitrol. And I heard stories about Vivitrol. You can't get high on it, but stubborn, hard-headed me, I get out of there and I had to find out for myself. So I started doing big shots of dope just to try to feel something. And shortly after this is when I tried meth for the first time. And I tell you what, man, that 1 year of that stuff, I think, took me down a hole way deeper than 10 plus years in dope did. It was bad. It was bad. It was cheap. And that's what I did. That's what I did until the Vivitrol wore off, and then it was both of them. So 2019, man, that was the longest year that I've had probably ever. Um, you know, it took me to places I never thought that I would go. And um, you know, by this time, you know, my family's cut me off. They can't do nothing to help me. Uh, I'm living with a backpack full of clothes. If I'm lucky, I'm staying at a friend's house, you know. My grandma, she took me in, and I can remember it was Thanksgiving, and um I was up in my room at my grandma's house because I wasn't invited to Thanksgiving. Um I really I really didn't want to live, man. I didn't want to live. And I would just stay up in my grandma's house getting high. And until I left the house one day and she found everything underneath my bed. And so she kicked me out. And it was a little bit before Christmas. And you know, this was the Christmas right before I got sober. It was a little bit before Christmas, and my dad calls me up and he says he wants to see me. So I was like, yeah, you know, I'm over here at KFC. You know, I'm in here trying to get warm. So he comes and picks me up and he says, "Hey, I want to bring you back to the house. Um get you some food, a shower, warm shower, and clean your, you know, wash your clothes for you." Um so I did, you know, and I get there, I eat, I take a shower, and he says, "Come upstairs." Um well, my parents divorced when shortly after I graduated, and my dad, he's remarried now. So he says, "Come upstairs, and you know, I want you to talk with me and Angie, my stepmom." And so I do, and they're telling me that they want, you know, that I can stay there that night. And I don't know where it came from, but I just lost it. You know, I started crying. I started crying because I kept saying, you know, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. And I knew that if the opportunity presented itself, that I was going to do something that I regretted. You know, no matter how bad I didn't want to do it, I knew that I was going to do it if it presented itself. So you know, my stepmom, she works midnights. Um my dad told me to sleep there in the bed with him. And you know, I'm sick, not feeling good. I'm laying there, and you know, I feel his hand on my back, and I hear him saying a little prayer over me, you know. And I wake up the next morning, my stepmom gets home, he goes to work, and about noon, my stepmom wakes up to go do some running around, probably Christmas shopping, I don't know. Uh, and that opportunity, it presented itself, man. She left her purse on the table, and she went into the bathroom, and I got in that purse, waited for her to leave, and I took off. Um, you know, that tore me up for a while doing that. And really I didn't care because I really wanted to get high more than anything. It didn't matter what I had to do or who was in my way, you know. That's what I was going to do. I would do anything to make myself feel better. I don't care who I was hurting. Um so, you know, off and running again. Uh I was coming off of about 4-day bender, and it was the end of the road, and I ran into a friend at another guy's house and was like, "Hey man, let me stay the night with you. You know, we'll get high. Just keep an eye on me. You know, I'm crashing. Just let me stay." And so we go back to his house, and trying to do the last of my stuff, and I just, you know, I'm being loud, I'm being reckless, not running into stuff, and I kept snapping back to him being pissed off, and it pissed me off. hearing him bitch at me. So I was like, you know what, screw this, I'm out of here. And I took off walking. This was like 2:30 in the morning. And from 2:30 to the time I was found out in the middle of a cornfield in January, um, I heard somebody yelling my name, and I'm out in the middle of a cornfield, soaking wet from falling in the snow. This was like 8:30 in the morning. So I was outside for 6 hours, and I have these three cops coming to talk to me. And I had some stuff in my pocket, so they took me to jail. Slept that whole day, went to video court, and the judge let me out. Um, so when he let me out, my mom don't want me around, my dad don't want me around, or I'm avoiding my dad, after all that happened. Uh, my sister, done broke her heart so many times. Not to mention the time where I was getting high in her bathroom, and I fell over and busted the back of my head open on her floor. I woke up in a puddle of blood and her screaming scared the crap out of her. So mom changed the locks on her door, and it's just me and this backpack that I got some clothes in. And like, something happened. I called a friend, and I subconsciously called for help without knowing that's what I was doing. I called this friend, and I remember her asking me if I had God in my life. And I gave it some thought, and I was like, well, he's probably here somewhere. I didn't think he wanted anything to do with me. I was just a low bottom junkie. Everybody else cut me off. Why would God want anything to do with me? And she told me to find him. So we hung up the phone, and maybe 10 minutes later, I get another phone call, and it was some people who were sober, a couple friends of mine, and they offered to help me. And I tell you what, I don't know how bad your life has to get to where checking yourself into the psych ward, saying that you're suicidal just so you have a place to go, was a good idea. That was a good idea at that moment. And so that's what I did. And they helped me find a bed at a treatment center. And that's where my sobriety started. It was a 90-day treatment center, and they told me to get a sponsor, and I did. That guy sleeping right there on that couch. And he kept me straight. The program that I started to work kept me straight. And I fell in love with it. I think I fell in love with it because I felt that I absolutely tried everything else. I tried everything to make it work, where I could still get high, I could still have some drinks, and be able to manage my life. But I was absolutely broken when I got there. And I started working the steps. And I still work the steps today. The 12 steps are a big, huge part of my recovery. So I did my 90 days there, and it was suggested that I stayed in sober living for a little while. They told me give it 3 months. Give it 3 months. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it 3 months. And part of me wanted to tell my mom, hey mom, I just did this 90 days in treatment. I'm all better now, take me back again. And I tell you what, if I would have went there, I probably would have been sitting there for 2 weeks, all these broken promises again, talking about getting a job, and I would have just been sitting there until I was out the door again, doing the same thing. So it opened my eyes a little bit. It was time for me to grow up. And I did. I stayed there in sober living for those 3 months, and during those 3 months, it started to make sense that I stayed longer. You know, the longer I stayed there, it started to make more sense. Um, I got active in the program. Um, I go into a lot of meetings. I got a job, um, and I was working for about a year in sober living. Took me up to October of well, here's a fun fact. You could still go to jail in sobriety. Um, I I fucking went to jail twice in sobriety. Uh, the first one was a day after my 7 months. Um, I was on my way to work. We got pulled over, and cop behind us, and then they take up both of our IDs, and another cop pulls up on the side, and then another cop pulls up, and I looked over at my boss and like, yeah, I doubt that they're here for you. So I had a warrant from not showing up to court, and I went and sat 12 days. But that was a miracle in itself, was to get out of jail after those 12 days, and I didn't get high. Every single time that I would get out of jail, um, I'd be calling my buddies up, right when I walk out, and I'd be off and running again. So, got that stuff taken care of. And you know, this past October, I had made a move. I met my girlfriend. Uh, we've been talking about a year, around this time, and um, I talked to my sponsor about it. I talked to a bunch of people who I call my sober support, and my real friends today, and my family, about moving. And all the signs were pointing to yes. Everybody said yes, it was a good idea. And it was getting down to it, and I almost talked myself out of it. uh I was wanting to run the show again, and I got scared. Um I guess that fear of something new. Everything in sobriety was new to me. I didn't know how to live, and moving in with this girl, uh 2.5 hours away from the life that I had started in sobriety, I was nervous about it. But something was telling me to do it, just pull the trigger. And so I did. um I moved down here October 17th. That was a Sunday, because we went to the Browns game that day. So that first weekend, my daughter, she's 8 now, she wanted to stay the night with me. And she stayed Friday, Saturday. She wanted to stay again, like, on Sunday. It's fine with me. We'll call your mom. And thank God that I found this program, or this program found me, because that was another resentment. Like, I held this grudge towards my daughter's mom for a while, because I felt that she did me wrong. And it wasn't until I learned about myself to where I was able to take responsibility on how I was in that relationship, and we were on good terms. So like I said, my daughter's staying with me that weekend. This was a Monday morning, and we tried to call her mom, and we didn't get an answer. And I got a phone call that afternoon, and it was my daughter's aunt, and she told me that my daughter's mom was in a car accident. She wasn't wearing her seatbelt, and she died in that car accident. And I tell you what, man, I didn't know what to do. You know, I didn't know what to do. I was lost. The only thing I could think about is my 8-year-old daughter's upstairs. How do I go up there and tell her that her mom just died? Um, I was broken, man. I was broken. And I called my mom, and her and my sister drove down to be with us. And I went to a meeting to try to center myself, man. Um, before I broke that news to my daughter. But you know, when I got home from that meeting, I had to tell her what had happened. Um, it wasn't easy, you know, it wasn't easy, but uh, you know, I made some real good friends in sobriety, some friends who actually care about me and would do anything to help me. And I really leaned on them. I really leaned on them, and it meant a whole lot to me that uh, they would reach out to me and ask me how I was doing. Um, you know, we had a bunch of court stuff to go through. It's all over with now, and uh, it's amazing to look back, and I could be forever grateful for my life in sobriety. You know, if I wouldn't have gotten sober, I wouldn't have been there for my daughter. Um, you know, she very well could have been in the car. Um, the last day we went to court, and I had the children's attorney, I had the prosecutor, guardian ad litem, and children's services, and they all were wanting Paisley to be with me. They were all approving Paisley to be with me. And you know, I've been part of my daughter's life ever since she was born, whether it be a week here, 2 weeks here, a weekend here. You know, I always had that relationship with her, but I still did what I wanted to do, you know. And there was times where her mom or my family were out looking for me because I had my daughter and I was out doing what I wanted to do. You know, they would be looking for me to take my daughter. And then, you know, fast forward to the life that I have today and the person that I am today, and I got these people approving me to that I'm fit to raise a little girl. You know, it's amazing. It really is amazing. um after after the funeral, um we went to her mom's house to get some of her stuff, and sheriff met us there, and this was the second time that I went to jail. uh the day of the funeral, we're in there getting the stuff, and the cop runs my name, and I have a warrant that popped up, and I couldn't believe it. You know, I couldn't believe it. I was you know, I've been in sobriety for, oh, it was like maybe 21 months or something at the time. And like I thought it was all done and over with. I didn't know there was no more, that there was still warrants out there. Um, you know, the cop, he said that his hands were tied, he had to take me. And I tell you what, man, I was pissed. You know, I was really mad. I didn't know what to do. You know, life was just kicking me left and right. You know, this had happened, going to jail again. Um, and mind you, I moved down here, this brand new place. It's brand new for everybody. Trying to deal with that. I'm not working. And, you know, it was a wreck there for a while, you know, and I kept being told, you know, just keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, you know, stay active in the meetings, um, keep your foot on the gas with this program, and life's going to get better. And I held on to that. I held on to it because, they told me that at the beginning. They told me that at the beginning, and my life did get better. And, you know, life is getting a little bit better today. Um, I've learned these things in sobriety. I've learned how to inventory myself. I learned uh, how to deal with things. I never used to deal with stuff before. I would just I would isolate, not talk, and be alone until whatever, till the bright idea come that getting high was my solution. Because that was my solution for so many years. And then the solution became a problem, and that's when my life just started to be shit. And today I'm happy. My daughter's happy. um she gets on my nerves. She drives me nuts. I think I drive her nuts, and that's okay. um I just sent her to school the other day crying. It made me feel so bad. you know she was taking her good old time getting ready, and I was afraid she was going to miss the bus, trying to get her gloves on, and the dog's jumping on me. And I just got overwhelmed, and I kind of kicked and shoved the dog away, and she started crying, asking me why I'm being so mean, and she walked out with a little teary-eyed. So she gets home, and here it was for kicking the damn dog that she was crying. I thought I hurt her feelings for yelling at her. She's such an emotional, loving girl. I don't know where she gets it from. Definitely didn't get it from me, but she's the sweetest little girl. um so my life's pretty simple today. I don't do a whole lot. I go to meetings. I work with some guys. I'm sponsoring a couple of guys. um I try, like I said, I work these 12 steps, and I try to do the best I can. These 12 steps, they really saved my life, man. um I guarantee I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for working a program. um Things have happened to me in sobriety that I've used way lesser reasons to pick up and get high. I used to use any reason to pick up and get high. But I know some days are going to be hard, some days not so much. But um I know if I don't pick up today, if I'm having a bad day today and I don't pick up today, it leaves me a chance still. I give myself that chance, that opportunity for another day. um so with that, I really am truly blessed to be here. um to go from a body that was fighting to survive and a mind that just wanted to die to the person that I am today. I really truly am blessed. And I think that's all I got. So I'm gonna pass. Thanks, guys.